Hi, everyone. My name is Frank Rivera. I'm the president of Stronger Than Sarcoidosis, and I have Michael Patterson here today. Michael, introduce yourself and tell us of your sarcoidosis journey.
Well, my name is Michael Patterson. I originally from South Georgia. I currently live in Southwest Florida. I was diagnosed with sarcoidosis about 5 years ago, almost exactly 5 years ago. And it was kind of crazy. My story is kind of crazy. I was just coming off my best football season. I'm a teacher and a coach. Well, I was a teacher and a coach. Coming off my best football season, I was coaching up in South Georgia. I got offered a job to come back. I was originally in Southwest Florida, to come back to be the defensive coordinator / assistant head coach at the second winningest program in Southwest Florida.
Oh,
And a week before my daughter was born, my wife and I was going out to dinner, and my body started convulsing. And the best way I can explain it is that one side of my body started doing the MC Hammer all by itself. And I'm looking, I'm like, well, what's going on? Like, my body's never done this before,
Mm-hmm.
And so she was like, what's going on? I said, I have no idea. And then my body started to feel like the lower part of my body started to feel like I was in quicksand.
Oh.
And it was going numb and I couldn't feel anything. And so the owner of the restaurant, which we knew, she called called the 911. When they come and they're like, yeah, we think you had a stroke. And I'm talking about at this point, I was in the best shape I had been in a couple of years,
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, I know I can't be having a stroke. So we get to the hospital, and I'm a veteran. So they were like, veteran with a stroke coming through. They take me back. They do a CT scan. The doctor's like, no, you did not have a stroke, but you do have a benign tumor.
Oh, wow.
And he was like, I recommend you get surgery. Like right then,
Wow.
So yeah, I'm telling you, one day, they undressed me, put me in one of those little gowns.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm sitting and the hospital was full. So I'm actually in the hallway.
Oh, wow.
And then a surgeon comes up to me and he's like, hey man, I think you should have surgery. I'm like, man, how we going to surgery like this quick? Do we even know what's going on? No x-rays, no nothing? Like, we're going to surgery right now?
Wow.
And I was like, no, I said, we got to do some x-rays or something. So they go back. They ended up doing an MRI on me. And then they kept me in the hospital for 3 days.
Oh,
The
okay.
surgeon came to me. He was like, hey, you've had this tumor. And I think you had it for like 15, maybe 20 years.
Wow.
Well, that put me back at 15 years old. He said it's been growing. You probably had it since birth, and it's just been growing over time. And it still was, I think it was 4 millimeters.
Okay.
4 millimeters by 2 millimeters.
Okay.
So we had a family friend who is one of the top surgeons in the whole United States. He had just moved from Naples to Charlotte.
Okay.
So we contacted him. He was like, sure, I'll take you on as a patient. Can you get to Charlotte? Well, that ain't no problem. Yeah, we can get to Charlotte. So we go up there and we see him, and the doctor, they put me on, it wasn't prednisone. I want to say it was methotrexate.
Yep. Okay. Mm-hmm.
They put me on that, and then they put me on another pill. And man, I kid you not, after I came back from seeing the doctor, he was like, well, we'll do surgery in June. So it was June 2016. He was like, we'll do surgery. I can get rid of it. By August, September, you'll be back to new. Who was scheduled for June. And then he had something that come up. And so we had to reschedule it.
Okay.
So he wanted to reschedule it till August. Well, August was the beginning of football season.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, listen, I've been working for this for a while, man. I said, can we push it back to December? Now, if you think it's life threatening, hey man, let's go and do it now. He was
Yeah.
like, no. I think we can push it back, to December. And so I went through that whole football season, and it was probably physically it's the worst I've ever felt.
Mhm.
I went from 185 to 310
Oh,
in
okay.
about 8 months.
Wow.
So about September, October, yeah, around about November, I was yes, in October I was 310.
Oh, okay.
And so now on top of me having sarcoid, still nobody has told me I had sarcoid.
Mhm.
But with my body figuring that out, and now I got all this weight on me, and I'm taking these pills,
Mhm.
because that's what they said to do. So we go in, fast forward to December, I go in to have surgery, but you got to do all your pre-op stuff.
Yes. Mhm.
So they go in, they do an MRI on me, and the day before the surgery, I told them the day before the surgery I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to spend time with family and stuff like that. We had rented an Airbnb up in
Okay.
Charlotte, and his office called me like they want me to come in and do more tests. At this point, I am heated because that's not what I want to do the day before surgery.
Yeah, exactly.
So I go in, do the MRI. When I come out, my wife is actually on the phone and she's crying. I'm like, oh man, somebody must have passed away.
Mhm.
So she hands me the phone, and the doctor says I'm canceling the surgery.
Oh, okay.
And I said, why? And he said, well, we thought that your tumor right now, we think it should be about the size of an egg.
Mhm.
At worst, a silver dollar.
Yeah.
And he said it has shrunk to half the size of a green pea.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So he was like, I would do more damage by
Yeah.
trying to go in than let's just monitor it with meds.
Mhm.
So I'm like, cool. Now, what I didn't know really changed some things for me because they wanted me to get a spinal tap.
Oh, okay.
And that is the worst feeling
Oh, yeah.
I've ever had. I'm talking
I know.
about, yeah, I don't really know if I could ever go through that again.
I did 3. So, yeah.
Oh, man, listen, man, I tilt my hat off to you, man. I was like,
That
that
was
was the worst
Mhm.
experience I've
Yeah.
ever had as a human being.
Mhm.
It sucked till, man, I'm talking about it sucked, man.
Yeah. Mhm.
Well, what happened was, it's supposed to close up within like
Yeah.
24 to 48 hours,
Mhm.
but mine didn't close up.
Oh, man.
So every time I got up, I would have like this headache, like this
Yeah.
massive headache, and everything would start swirling. And
Mhm.
it was, I had a hard time just going to the bathroom.
Wow. Yeah.
And
Jeez.
I never forget, I was like, God, listen, like, I don't want to live life like this.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't.
Mhm.
And so we called them. They was like, yeah, it's going to close up. It's going to close up. So they kept saying it. And so
Mhm.
we ended up leaving Charlotte and going back to South Georgia. So I went and stayed with my mom.
Mhm.
Uh, and it was the worst ride because I couldn't fly. It
Oh,
was the
yeah.
worst ride I've ever had, uncomfortable, whole deal.
Mhm.
Well, before we leave, we're having the actual doctor's appointment.
Mhm.
And he said, I think you have something called sarcoidosis. It was my first time ever hearing sarcoidosis.
Mhm.
Because even though everybody around me was excited I wasn't having the surgery, I
Yeah.
still knew there was something that was wrong.
Yeah.
Like something just wasn't quite right.
Mhm.
And so when he told me that, and then they tapered me off. Well, it was a 30-day go cold turkey off
Yeah.
the steroids.
Okay.
Well, my body had gotten used to it,
Yeah.
and my adrenaline gland it went to sleep. It was dormant.
Mm-hmm.
So when that goes to sleep, and now I'm off the steroids,
Oh, man.
my body isn't producing the adrenaline.
Yeah.
So then my body went into what do they call it? Hydrenalin. It's like a hydrenalin funk,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and your body goes haywire.
Yeah.
Well, then my heart has to do extra work,
Mm-hmm.
and so now my heart is trying to do all this extra work. And at this time, I didn't know that nobody knew that I had granulomas on my heart.
Oh, okay.
So my heart is being attacked, plus it's doing all this extra work.
Yeah.
I ended up going into the because I felt like I was dehydrated all the time, and
Mm-hmm.
things were so difficult. I'm like, man, like, how is this so difficult?
Mm-hmm.
Just walking.
Yeah.
And I went to the emergency room, and there was a PA,
Yeah.
and she said, "Can I? Let me take." She took my blood pressure, standing up, laying down,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
right side, left side. She ran another test, and she said, "Can I do a full body work on you?" I said, "Sure." Well, it wasn't 2 hours later. She was like, "Yeah, you have congested heart failure."
Oof.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what is that? First of all, I
Yeah,
had
right.
no clue of, because, I knew nothing about the medical field.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Up until that seizure, I saw the doctor once a year, and that was for my physical.
Yep.
I never got sick. I never took any medicine. I, just was always in great health.
Mm-hmm.
And so when she does that, they admit me to the hospital. And we go through that, and I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. So it was like, well, we want to give you a defibrillator.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the first time they tried to put the one like it's like the jacket. The
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they tried to give me that one.
Yeah.
But by that time, I was on VA insurance.
Oh, okay.
And VA would not pay for it.
Oh,
So
wow.
VA said that, hey, we'll pay for it, but you have to come to our hospital. So I was transported from the hospital in Naples to Bay Pines, which is right outside of Clearwater.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent another 2 to 3 weeks. No, it was longer than that. I may have spent a month up there, because I was in the hospital for about 41 days.
Okay.
And so when I get to Bay Pines, there's a doctor. Now, I still really don't know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And the doctors, they don't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
I had one doctor, I'll never forget her name. Her name was Dr. Starr.
Mm-hmm.
And she came to me one morning. I'm sitting in the bed. She like, yeah, Mr. Patterson, like, yeah, just to let you know, like, if you don't take this seriously, like, you're gonna die.
That's nice.
and I looked at her, and I'm a veteran, man.
Yeah.
8 years to my core.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, like, everything in me just soldiered up.
Yeah.
And I said, I can't listen to you.
Mm-hmm.
I told my wife at the time, I said, listen, we're not going to listen to her.
Mm-hmm.
I said, because God ain't told me that I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
So I just gotta go through this, and then I'm gonna have a story on the other end.
Mm-hmm.
That was my mindset. I still did not know what was going on, did not have an understanding, because nobody came and sat down and talked with me.
Yeah.
Well, they ended up firing her. They bring in another doctor. Her name is Dr. O. I can't pronounce her whole name, so I just called her Dr. O.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. O would come in every morning, and we would just have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And she would, put her hands on me. She would, shake my hand, like she would feel my body.
Yeah.
And then after she go through that, then she would tell me what she feels,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and what the next step should be. And so she asked me, could she do a full body workup? I said, yes.
Okay.
So I met every kind of specialist that you can think of, all the way down to the toenail specialist, the podiatrist. You know,
That's funny.
so I got poked and prodded.
Yeah.
There's a spot on my arm right now where they took blood. I got poked over 250 times. You know, so there's a permanent spot on my arm right now that whenever I go give blood, I just point to it and they say, oh, I see it. And that's where they get blood from. You know, so
At least you have a marker.
so I remember that I'm in the hospital and I'm frustrated, you know, and they would just come wake me up out of my sleep to get blood. And one particular day, I said, man, I ain't getting no blood today. I said, today's Sunday. I'm not giving no blood. Don't nobody ask me for no blood. Matter of fact, don't nobody come in my room for the rest of the day. Because during this time, Frank, I stopped eating.
Oh, okay.
The only thing that I would eat was cantaloupe.
Oh,
So
okay.
if they could not bring me cantaloupe or honeydew melon,
Yeah.
I would not eat anything. I'm not eating that. You know, I literally had stopped eating.
Wow.
And there was a nurse. She came to me, and she was my night nurse.
Mm-hmm.
And so she came to me like the next morning because she was like, yeah, they told me that you're not giving blood and you're not cooperating. And she was like, what can I do to make this experience better for you? I said, if I can get my cantaloupes, I'll do whatever you need me to do. Right, that's all I wanted was some cantaloupe, man.
You had to barter for food, huh?
Yeah, I had to barter. So she said, listen, she said, I'll make sure you have your cantaloupe. She said, I'll have it here ready for you once because I had to do the blood and give weight. She said, once you do that, I give you your cantaloupe. I said, cool, let's do it. So they never had any more problems out of me as far as, you know, because all I wanted was cantaloupe.
Yeah.
You know, and so we go through that process. I was there about a week. Then they wanted to do a biopsy because they were like, yeah, we think you have sarcoid too. So Frank, they go to do the biopsy and I flatline while I'm on the table.
Wow.
You know, so I remember going to sleep. Everything was cool. I remember waking up and I couldn't talk.
Oh,
you
wow.
know. And so my wife is looking at me and I'm like telling her like, well, what's going on? And, you know, but they got the tubes and everything down my mouth. So I really can't.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm talking.
Yeah, I know exactly how you feel.
She can't hear me. And so she goes to bring me a pad and I'm writing. And I think I'm writing what I'm saying, you know. And she showed it to me like years later, and it was in some scribble scratch.
It's so funny you say that. I had a problem. I ended up with a hole in my stomach because of the prednisone, and they put me on naproxen, which one of the side effects is a hole in the colon. And I had IBS. So same thing. I just went into the hospital because my brother-in-law had to carry me down the stairs. I couldn't even walk. That's how much pain I was in. And it was a Sunday night, I remember. And they go in and they take some tests, you know, they did an X-ray. That's it. They only did the X-ray. And they were changing shifts. And one of the other doctors is like, well, I guess you can go home. I'm like, I can't go home. I can't walk. And they're like, all right, well, we'll do it. We'll do a CT scan on you and then an MRI and see what happens. They go do that. They're like, you have air coming out of your colon. I'm like, oh, by the way, you're going in for surgery at 7:30 this morning, and it was like 2:30 in the morning.
Wow.
I was like, are you kidding me? And same thing. They go in, they tell my wife, all right, you know, he has diverticulitis, he has a hole. He's going to be in for about 4 hours, and he'll be out, and you know, he'll be fine. Everything will be fine. 4 hours comes, nothing. Nobody goes to tell my wife anything. You know, here I am. I'm on under. So I don't know anything. 6 hours come, somebody comes out and tells my wife, you may want to call his family. She's like, what the? And she went from 4 hours surgery, this is now no big deal, to now you need to call his family. I had sepsis throughout my whole body. Every part of my body had sepsis, basically. Because it was there probably for almost a day. So of course, everything traveled. And so same thing. I started laughing about what you were saying. Is I had the tube. I was intubated for Monday morning till Thursday. I had the tube down my throat, and same thing. I was trying to talk to my wife, and she's like, can't say, she can't understand a word. She put a pad, same thing, and I'm writing, and I'm getting mad at them that they don't understand what I'm saying. Right? And I'm like pointing at it. Come on, what do you mean? Can you read? And then she did the same thing. She showed me it when I woke up, and I was like, "What is that?" She's like, "That's what you're trying to tell me."
Right.
And I'm like, what?
And it's crazy that you can be in that state and you're still coherent.
Yeah.
But you can't communicate.
Yeah. You know what you want to say. You know what you want to do.
Right. And look, Frank, I woke up the next day. I think I was down for a whole day.
Yeah.
And the day after that, I woke up and I could see everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what in the world is this in my mouth?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, hey. Ain't nobody come out. So I was going to pull it out of my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
So I started to pull out, and just so happened a nurse came by, and she was like, oh, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. Help. So another nurse came, and they're trying to hold my arms down, right? And I'm like, what are y'all doing,
Yeah.
So they strapped me down to the bed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Frank, back then, man, I was strong as an ox. So I kept pulling and pulling and pulling until I snapped the baby.
Oh, wow.
I snapped it, and the rails just kind of fell down, and my arms got loose again. And she was like, "Oh, he's up. He is." Like, Mr. Patterson, we're gonna take. Like, she just started explaining everything to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I woke up like the Hulk, like. Hulk smash, like y'all gotta start explaining like something to me.
Mm-hmm.
And no lie to you, man, that was the best day. I'm in ICU.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing, call the family. So my daughters, my mom, like all these people show up.
Mm-hmm.
It was the best day. It was the best day I had felt in a long time. What I found out later that day is that they had pumped me full of steroids.
Oh, okay.
I was on 60 milligrams of steroids.
So you really were the Hulk.
Oh, I really was, man. I really was. And they took me back down to my room, and I had a doctor by the name of Dr. Fink. Dr. Fink, I want to say he helped save my life.
Mm-hmm.
He came and he talked to me and another guy, Dr. Senyo Sungyo. Both of them came and talked to me, and we talked for maybe 2 hours about, at that point in my life, or before sarcoid had hit, I was very purpose-driven.
Mm-hmm.
I knew exactly where I was going. I knew how long it was going to take me to get there. Like, I had everything lined up, and now I'm at a point to where I can't do any of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were like, if all this went away, what would your life look like? And so I explained it to them.
Mm-hmm.
The defibrillator, I was not going to get defibrillator. I was like, nah, I'm good. Whatever happens, happens.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a soldier. Bury me, put the stripes on my chest, all that, man,
Yeah.
And then when he came and talked to me, and my dad, my biological dad.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, I'll do it. Same way with Dr. Fink. He said, hey, guess what? I said, what? He said, you don't have cancer.
Great saying.
you know, because they thought I might have had cancer, you know,
Mhm.
and later on I found out that a lot of people get misdiagnosed because the symptoms are very similar. You
Mhm.
know, so he goes through that. He said, yeah, he said, I have a couple people. He was a rheumatologist. I have a
Mhm.
couple people that does have sarcoid, and this is the treatment that I have them on. Let's
Mhm.
try it with you. And man, Frank, when I got out of the hospital, I was taking almost maybe 40 some pills per day. Like
Oh,
I could not get out of the bed. Like I was just down. You know,
yeah,
every day, I'm just laying in the bed, can't do anything. And you gotta think I went from being super active,
yeah.
working 16 to 18-hour days to now I can't even get out of the bed,
Wow.
you know. And then one day I just said, you know what? This is my life and I'm gonna live it the way I wanna live it.
Mhm.
And I started doing research. I found the Foundation of Sarcoidosis Research. I
Mhm.
reached out to them. I can't remember the lady name that I first talked to. She's no longer with the company,
Yeah.
with the organization. And her and I had a conversation for maybe about an hour.
Mhm.
And she sent me some stuff, and I started reading and started learning. And I would say within 90 days, I went from taking all those pills to I reduced it down to in half to about 20.
Yeah.
And then I would say 6 months later, I reduced that in half to about 10 to 12.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I was starting able to be more active.
Mhm.
I was able to drive again. You know, I was able to get out and walk. You know, I was building myself back up,
Yeah.
you know. And I never forget that Dr. Senyo Sanyo, he said that he told me when I got out, he said if and I could hear him
Mhm.
uh because while they was doing the surgery, like I wasn't sleep, you
Yeah.
know. So
Mhm.
um, every surgery I've had, I've woken up through all of them.
Yeah.
Uh, and so I could hear him. He was like, the next 6 months is going to be very important for him. If he lives the next 6 months, then I think he'll make the 5 year mark, and I think he will have a long life.
Yeah.
So I heard that,
Mhm.
and I made it a mission that I was gonna win them 6 months.
Mhm.
You know, so every day I got up, I was gonna win that day. You know, and I was gonna win those 6 months, and I was gonna
Yep.
win another 6 months, and I was gonna win another year, and I was gonna win another year, and we're 5 years down the road, and I'm winning.
Mhm.
You know, I am
Exactly.
kicking sarcoidosis butt. You
Mhm.
know, they just did I can't think of the test, echo.
Echo.
They
Yeah.
did an
Mhm.
echo on my heart, and he told me, he said, man, whatever you're doing, keep doing it because your heart is almost back to normal.
Oh, that's awesome.
He was like, we don't see any granulomas, we don't see anything on it, you know, so your heart is repairing itself,
Yeah.
you know, so that's a good thing.
Yep.
Uh,
That's great.
the pulmonary, I still got some that's there, but it's not as many.
Yeah.
Uh, I have one spot that's on my neck,
Okay.
uh, but it flares up not
Mhm.
as often as it used to. The biggest thing I'm dealing with now is the neuro.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I had another little spot come up right beside that one, you
Okay.
know, and so they're trying to figure out if it's neuro sarcoidosis. Right now, I'm diagnosed as neuro, or
Yeah.
if it's a angioma,
Okay.
meningioma.
Mhm.
So that's where I'm at right now, Frank. You know, but
Okay.
I'm winning, man.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
winning
awesome.
every day.
Yeah. That's awesome. So let's go on to the next big question is how has sarcoidosis affected your mental health in the beginning and then, like during your journey? How has it affected you?
Oh man, it was huge, man. You know, I had thoughts that, man, you know, I knew there was a certain way that I wanted to live,
Mhm.
and the way I was in the beginning, I did not want to live that way.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a burden on everybody.
Yeah.
And so when you start thinking like that, it's almost moments to where you may be thinking about giving up, but then, I had a newborn baby,
Yeah.
and I had 2 older daughters, and there was still some more love and care that I needed to give them, because I knew they would go out and keep my work going.
Yeah.
And so that was probably the biggest thing that helped me with the turnaround. In the middle is when I got my fight. I heard a pastor. I actually heard this in the beginning before I got sick. And there was a lady. Matter of fact, the guy name is John Gray. His mom had cancer.
Okay.
And so the doctor told she was in stage 4. When they got ready to go do the surgery, very similar to mine, they go do the test and everything, and there's no cancer.
Wow.
Well, before they was doing a prayer call, like 2 nights before, and they asked her what did they want, what did she want them to pray for, and she said, I want you all to pray for, thank God for already healing me. And before everything got started, I told my pastor, him and I was talking, and I said, he asked me the same question, and I said, Rev, just thank God for already healing me, And I just, for some reason, I just knew that this was a journey that I had to go through. And, I always say this, and I thank God, I say, this is my Denzel Washington moment.
Yeah.
Like, he's telling a story, and I'm the main character. I'm Denzel Washington in this, you know? And so I got to give my best, because of the story that's being told.
Yeah.
And I don't know who this story is going to help and who it's going to affect, but I just tried to, during the middle, I just tried to stay as positive as I could. I read a lot of positive stuff.
Yep.
I was already a personal development junkie. I listened to Les Brown, Zig Ziglar, Eric Thomas, Earl Nightingale, Tony Robbins.
Yep.
I listen to all those guys already every day. So now, okay, let's take this and let's see if it really works. So now I just start applying all the stuff that I was hearing and reading. And now, I feel mentally, physically, this is the best I've felt since 2015.
Okay, that's good.
Mentally, I feel just as strong.
That's awesome.
But there was a journey through the last 5 years. There's been a journey, and it's not for the weak. I tell you,
No.
you know that, man. It's not for the weak.
I always, like, one of the things I always say is that, first off, if you think you can do this on your own, you're lying to yourself. Look in the mirror, because you're lying to yourself. So with that, who has helped you, like, make you, get you through this journey? But, whether it's family, whether if it be a counselor, whether it be, like you said, pastor or whoever, who were those people that helped you out?
Oh man, my support system has been phenomenal. My wife, my kids, my sister-in-law, my nephew, my mom, my dad, my stepdad. Like, my support system has been phenomenal. When I got out of the hospital, my grandmother-in-law and grandfather-in-law, they took me in, and I lived with them for maybe 2 to 3 weeks. And she fed me cantaloupe every day.
That's cool. That's always helpful.
But also during that time, I found out who my friends really were. I found out who my friends really were. And I found out that the people I thought were my friends, they were not my friends.
Yeah.
You know, we were associates.
Yeah.
And I figured that out. The other group that helped me out was FSR. So when I met you all in DC,
Oh yeah.
and now I can see, okay, other people have this and they're living with it, and everybody looks well. You know, even though I know everybody in here is not well,
Yeah.
you know, everybody looks well. And so that gave me hope that I can live with this. And there's a young Chester. And I told her this the last time we met. She don't remember this. But the first time she met me, she said, when you're feeling good, all gas. When you're not, hit the brakes. I was like, what in the world is she talking about? All gas and no brakes. You know, and later on in my journey, I also met another young lady. I can't remember her name. Her and her husband was there. And she told me that she had been living with sarcoid for like 20 years. And then that made me go researching my family. So my wife's aunt, Valerie Adepaton, she had been battling sarcoidosis for over 30 years. You know, and people thought she was crazy, you know, because they didn't understand what sarcoid was.
Yeah.
You know, so her and I had a bond because I knew what she was going through and she knew what I was going through. So in the beginning, she would call and talk to me and conversate with me, you know, because, you know, those thoughts that I'm having, everybody can't deal with that, you know, but she knew what I was going through. So she was able to listen, and then she would give me advice about, you know, what she went through. So those are the people that I would say that really, that support group, man.
Yeah.
When you difficult.
When you talk about, like, you know, how you said you're different friends that you found out you thought you were big friends with. One of the things that I always preach is don't put that on you. Put that on them. And also, a lot of them just don't understand. And it's not their fault. They just don't understand it. I mean, they're not going through it, so it's really hard to understand. So that, in that respect, you know, I don't hold, like, I lost a lot of friends, but I don't hold. It's not like I speak ill on them, because you know what, you just couldn't handle it. And I understand that. You know what, I don't know how I would have reacted in that aspect. You know, you never know until you're part of it, until you have it. Like you said, like you, I was an athlete and I was a runner, so so a lot of our thing actually is kind of similar in a lot of ways. But now, when you see new patients and they come and talk to you and they want to talk to you about sarcoidosis, and then they start talking about the mental part of it, what do you usually like? What's like one of the first things you would tell them?
Well, the first thing I normally tell them is to upload your mind with positive energy, because that's the biggest key right there. You know, to me, that's more important than the meds. You know, because if you're thinking right, then what I just feel this way, whatever goes into your body, if you got good positive energy in your body, then when those meds get in there, it's gonna keep the flow going. You know, and then you'll be able to walk through this process. You know, and then you have to find some. You have to find a piece of something that you can put your hope into. You know, mine was my faith. You know, I just knew that, you know, I had a bond with God, and I knew He wasn't finished with me. I knew He had a story, and I always told people this. You know, people like, well, man, you know, I'm sorry. Well, why are you sorry? You know, is there somebody, you know, and I told my wife this too. Oh, you know, I'm sorry that you got this. Well, who else would you want to have this? You know, like, you know, give me some names. Who else do you think should have this other than me? And I tell them, I also tell new patients, like, there's a reason that we have this. Like, God put stuff on our shoulders. He don't put stuff on people's shoulders that they can't carry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so, you know, you and I, Frank, we got big, wide shoulders to be able to carry this, man.
Yeah.
You know, I say he vetted me for 6 years. He was vetting me.
Yeah.
And then when he found out, oh, he can carry this, let me give it to him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so I've been carrying it, you know, for the past 5 years. But the thing I always tell people, man, it's always about having positive energy and having a positive outlet and being able to put your hope into something. And like I say, mine is my faith.
Yeah. There's one of my sarcoidosis doctors actually said this to me. One of the very first things he said to me when I was like all scared, because when I found out, I already had it in 75% of my body by the time I already found out I had it. So he just said to me, here's the deal. This disease is 90% mental, 10% physical. He goes, we only have so many medicines for you that are going to work or not going to work. He goes, but your mind is going to tell you whether these work or not going to work. He goes, if you don't want them to work, they won't work. He goes, your mind is going to tell you, if you want to give up, you're going to give up. So and he told me, you have two choices. He goes, you could sit in that corner over there and roll up into a ball, or you could just fight this. So what do you choose to do? And he goes, right. And if you feel like sitting in that corner, he's like, don't sit in my corner. Go in somebody else's office. Take up their space, he said. It was like such an eye opener. Like, it was like, wow, never thought of it that way. And a lot of people don't, or not that they don't think about it, but they kind of forget. It's like you're always battling the physical aspect of this, but you can't battle the physical aspect if you're not mentally ready. Yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, it's all the medicines in the world won't help you if you're not going to help yourself. And that's one of the biggest things why I do these mental health things, is to let people know, you know, yeah, we all have a different story. But a lot of, you know, what makes us different is that, like you said, we have that mental attitude of like, you know, 2018, I was told by doctors that I was terminally ill. And I literally said to them, I don't see an expiration date on me, and I don't see a toe tag on me. So you could say whatever you want. And I walked out. And right. my sarcoidosis doctor came out afterwards, and he's like, I figured you were going to say that. And he goes, I'm going to see if I could find something for you. And he did. I ended up having, you know, to work with a doctor in Johns Hopkins to help me out. But they told me I had months to live. So here I am 3 years later.
Right. That's what I'm talking about, Frank.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, you know, like you say, you know, it's only one person can tell me when I'm going to die. And, you know, looking up there, and he's the only one who's going to tell me. So
that's it, man. That's it, you know.
And it's funny, I got it from my mom. I'll give you the clean version. And my mom had heart problems all of her life. As a child, she had Rocky Mountain fever or something like that affected her heart. She had 9 open heart surgeries. In 1975, she had one, and they had the surgery. She was in the room, and my grandmother was in the room with her and the doctor, and they was at the foot of the bed. The doctor told my grandmother that she wasn't going to make it through the night. So the next day came out, my mom woke up, and here's the PG version. The first words to the doctor was "F you." I heard you, F you. I'm awake. So now I know where I got my fight from, but but it's all, a lot of it is mentally, you know, it's a lot of mental, and you need the positivity like you talk about, you know, it's so much needed. And like being goal oriented, I think that has helped me, and I know it's helped you, because I know in the beginning I was just like sitting here going, all right, now what am I going to do? Especially because I went on disability like 2 years after.
Mhm.
2013, I went on disability. 2011, I found out. And I was like, now what? What do I do? What am I gonna do?
Right.
I have no job. I'm gonna be sitting at home. I'm not the, I don't want to be cleaning the house every day. That's not my fun thing. So, I found some new things to do, but just having that goal, it means so much. It really does. I mean, just having something else to think about. Because if
Right.
you could sit here and think about sarcoidosis, it can really get you down.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It can get you
Quick,
down.
fast, and in a hurry, man.
And
Yeah,
then,
you'll be like, you get that Novocaine shot at the
yeah.
dentist. Yeah, that's how you be.
How do you keep? One of the things I wanted to ask you is like, you can't keep total stress out of your life, but how do you try to reduce your stress?
Well, now I got back around young people,
Mm-hmm.
you know, mentoring.
Mm-hmm.
Like I figured out years ago my purpose was to mentor and inspire youth. Uh,
Great.
so that's my purpose. And
Mm-hmm.
so I just got back around my purpose. I
Yeah.
got back around mentoring youth, and over the last couple of years, I God didn't bless me with any sons, but He
Mm-hmm.
blessed me with sons.
Yeah.
So I got it's over 1,000 young men that I have mentored,
Oh, that's awesome.
coached, taught, over the past 10 years. And they also had a big part in me getting out of the bed.
Mm-hmm.
Random texts, random messages, random phone calls, and now the more and more a lot of them find out what I went through, I'm getting more and more. And so I would say that right there, because now I'm mentoring a group of young men and they want to be special,
Yeah.
And so since they want to be special, it's only right that I help them be as special as they can be.
That's awesome. That is so cool. So, I usually wrap it up with what is your biggest thought about mental health, and like what would you want everybody to know or know about Michael about and mental health? What would you want everybody to know?
Well, mental health. I do a podcast called For Veterans by Veterans, and
Mm-hmm.
last week we talked about mental health with the Simone Biles situation.
Oh yes. Mm-hmm.
And so, as soldiers, we would go and we fight a war, and then as soon as it's over with, we're thrown back into civilian population.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And when you have been on what I call on high, that means when your life is on the line, you click and go into another space or to another level that few people ever experience. And so when you're operating and your mind and your body is operating at that level, it's survival mode.
Yeah.
Well, now we want to put you back in, civilian, where everybody's seemingly to be fine, but you and I know, Frank, like we can see people and we can tell like they're not okay. They don't know that they're not okay, but they're not okay. And the thing that I want people to know about mental health is that it's okay to not be okay.
That's awesome.
It's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to ask for help. And if you see somebody that they're not doing so well, say hello to them. Say something positive to them. Sometimes I can walk down the street and I'll be like, and I just speak to people, but I'm an introvert, but an extrovert at the same time. I don't know if that really makes sense.
Oh yeah. It
Like
does.
I can be by myself all day and be perfectly fine. Or I can go into a room and I can speak to a lot of people and I can be fine with that as well, But when you see people, you know, you speak to them, you know, because you never know how their day is going. And the one thing about me, man, is positivity. You know, positive preparation prevents poor performance.
Yep.
And so I just believe that, and then I add another word into it to make it my own. I got it from Ray Lewis.
Uh-huh.
Positive preparations prevents piss poor performance.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's mine now, Frank.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
mine now, you know?
I
So
do
just
actually. You did
positive
bring up one other question for me, though.
Okay.
You know, with us being males, there is that stigma, you know, of asking for help, being the strong one. Men are not supposed to cry. Men are not supposed to do this. You know, they're supposed to just take everything. How do you explain to people, or men, to get out of that stigma? Because it's okay, like you said, it's okay not to be okay. But how do you explain that to men in particular?
Well, the thing that I would say is, and it took me a while. It took me a while because, like, you're right. I'm the breadwinner. I'm the protector. I'm all of this, you
Yeah.
know. And then I go from that to, you know, there's a little woman that has to take care of me, you
Mhm.
know. And so that like that in itself just isn't right.
Mhm.
You know, like I can't even carry a bag. You know, like you got to carry my bags for me. Like what? Like
Mhm.
that in itself isn't right. And you got to think long term. You know, you have to think long term, and we have to pull that mask down. You know, like we have to get rid of the facade. You
Mhm.
know, we're human too. We
Yeah.
have feelings, we have emotions, you know, but it's okay not to be okay, and it's okay to have assistance. You
Mhm.
know, if you got some people around you that are willing to help you out, take their help,
Mhm.
because there are a lot of people out there that's looking and wishing they had help, and they don't get that.
Mhm.
You know, so if you have a great support system around you, and that's the other thing I'll also say, having a great support system around you that understands what you're going through. And if you're a caregiver out there and you would, you know, wanna, if you would a guy and he's being real stubborn about it, you know, it takes time, you know, because what makes us great, it also hurts us, you know.
Mhm.
So the gift and the curse,
Yeah.
you know, if you see people, especially you see people like, man, he can do this or he can do that. It's the gift and the curse that comes together,
Yeah.
you know. And until you understand what the gift is, and once you figure out what the curse is, only then can you balance it out,
Mhm.
you know. And so that's what I would say. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely does, because, you know, yeah, I mean, we are taught to be different. You know, men and women are taught to be different, or, you know, you know, whether it's true or not, it is what it is. But like you said, what makes us strong also at times makes us like that. Like you said, being stubborn. You
Right.
know, it makes us strong at times, but at other times it's like smack
Right,
upside the
right.
But yeah, so like one thing I was always told, and actually somebody at FSR told me that a long time ago, and because I was always the one that wouldn't say no, I would always say yes, but then I got told, because I was going through these different things, sickness wise and stuff, like the long haul, you have to be here to be an advocate. If you're not here, you're not advocating. So
Right.
think about it that way. And same thing with life. You got to be here to be in life. If you're not, if you're not here, you're not in life. So,
Right.
I totally agree with what you say. So I really wanted to thank you for being part of this. It really means a lot, to the community. one of the things that Stronger Than Sarcoidosis is really trying to do is start to bring other organizations together. That's why we're working with FSR, Foundation of Sarcoidosis Research, closely. We're actually, I don't know if you saw, we're having our diversity conference on August 17th. It's a Zoom free conference talking all about diversity in healthcare, period, the challenges. But one of the main things that, because it was something that I thought about, I started up doing, and FSR has jumped on and helped me so much. And I have to say, I've been saying this a lot to a lot of people. FSR is, yes, they've changed, but it's actually, they're doing very well. I mean, some of the things they're doing, like the women of color, that is amazing. The Speakers Bureau, which you're a part of, it's something that has been needed for so long. And I love the way FSR is going about what they're doing now. And this conference is not just showing what the diversity means. Like, I'm so tired of people talking about diversity. Well, what are we going to do about it?
Right.
So that's what this thing is about, just so you kind of giving a background on it. We actually broke it up into patients, experts, which are the doctors, researchers, mental health, and then we broke it up to organizations at the end. And the reason we put the organization at the end is we want the organizations to make a plan of what you're going to do, how are you going to fix, or how are you going to help this. Instead of talking about it, we talk about diversity, we talk about social justice, we talk about all these things, and we're still in the same spot, just like sarcoidosis. Sarcoidosis has been around since the 1800s. What are we going to do about it? I'm tired of talking about it.
That's right, Frank.
Yeah, so that's one of the things. And I'm bringing, like I said, FSR, actually Bernie Mac Foundation is going to be, one of their doctors is going to speak at it. So I'm bringing all these organizations together, so we have one voice. That's one thing that's always been big on me, because I've been, when I first started, it was all about government advocacy for me. That's my main thing. I wanted to talk to the government and get some changes here. But I got a reality check when I went in, and they were like, every time I talk to somebody about sarcoidosis, they give me a different definition of it. And I was like frustrated. They're like, how are we going to give money when you guys don't even know what you're talking about? So that frustrated me big time. So when one of the big things was talking with FSR about making this advocacy group that we have, the advocates, it was ambassadors, now advocates. That was one of my main things, and one of the main things that we worked to get. Being one of the original 17, it's like being a proud daddy to see how far it's come. And seeing guys like you guys, and and it's not saying I'm going anywhere, but it's nice to know that I can hand off to people. I never felt like I had that before. I only had a certain amount of people that I could go to, and now I have a whole bunch of people that I know that I can go talk to. Like, I know if I wanted to, I'd call you and ask you a question, or something. And it's just so much nicer to know that. So one of the things that people used to always call me the face of sarcoidosis. And my answer to that is no, I'm one of. There are 200,000 faces of sarcoidosis in the United States. And they need to hear 200,000 different stories. It can't have one, because God forbid something happened to me or that one person, then what? You have to start all over again? Really? No. We don't have time to start all over again. We only have, unfortunately, our disease is, it does affect us. So it's nice to see that we have all these people now that are coming out of the woodworks and come and want to be involved. And it's, mentally, for myself, I won't lie, it's helped me so much just to know that it's not just me pushing to fight this anymore. Or when I first started with FSR, it was me and like 3 or 4 others that I knew. And now it's, like I said, it's hundreds, and hopefully we'll go to thousands soon. But yeah, so I do appreciate everything. If you guys, anybody that's watching this want to, know more about Stronger Than Sarcoidosis, it's strongerthansarcoidosis.org. We have so many events this month because it is our 1 year. We're actually doing giveaways. We have the Mental Health Monday. We have Warrior Wednesday that we're doing interviews with other. So we want the community to know that they are not alone. And, it's guys like you, Michael, and, all the others that want to be involved, that help these patients and make sure. We had a online support group yesterday, and we had 3 new patients on there, and you had to see their faces light up when they saw that there were other people around that actually had sarcoidosis. And they were like, wow. I mean, this one guy had a list of questions, and we were able to answer. Maybe not like give them definitive answers on everything, but we were able to tell them, all right, well, this is where you need to go. Because we can't, that's one thing I want to say, we can't, even if we're navigators, we can't make the decision for you as a patient. Right. Each one of us has our own road that we travel. Our even though we're a lot alike, there are a lot of differences between what has happened to you and happened to me. So I can't tell you, well, you need to try this drug or you need to try that drug. I could give you the options, and I can tell you what the drug is about and how it's supposed to help you. But you have to make that decision. And that's where we're hoping to empower our patients to make those decisions on themselves and feel comfortable about making those decisions. And so I do thank you for, being part of FSR. I think, you've been a great part of it. I think it's been amazing for all of us. Been an amazing ride, even with COVID. We're still fighting. Right. We're still fighting. Find new different ways to do it. That's all. That's it,
man. That's it. Live and adapt.
Yeah, I mean, we as sarcoidosis patients, I always say we have to live and adapt almost every day. We never know how we're going to feel each day when we wake up. So what made it any different? What made it any different about COVID? Now we talk online and we talk, instead of face to face. But
and I think with us, I know me.
Yeah.
I was quarantined before the quarantine.
I did not see. I quarantined right after our training class. I stopped seeing people right after that training class in February, and that was it. Yeah. I was done. See you later.
Same with me. But when I remember when I got out, they was like, well, your immune system will be compromised based on the meds you're on.
Yeah.
And so I literally started wearing masks 2017.
Okay.
And I was wearing gloves.
Mm-hmm.
Because a common cold could wreck me.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want germs. So for me, when everybody else just kind of caught up to what I was doing already.
That's what I always kid around. It's like they got to live our lives. They got to live what we do. They actually felt, and it actually has helped us as a community because people actually now, like I said, they didn't have to deal with our sickness, but they got to deal with the stuff that we actually had to deal with all the time. I mean, like you said, wearing a mask or wearing gloves or, just watching, you have a cold, I'll stay away from you. Right, I'll be way down there.
Look, if I hear somebody and they got the sniffles, I just start getting further and further away.
I always said, never mind 6 feet, I'll be 12.
There you go.
All right. So thanks again. And this one you're going to be the closing one of the month. Okay. So the last Monday of the month. You're ending it with a bang. So thanks again. And I'm sure we'll be doing a lot more things together. And I will be talking to you soon. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you, sir. You have a great one.
You too. Thanks a lot.